Also, there are new developments to share in the search for a COVID-19 vaccine.
Yeah, Pfizer says early data shows its vaccine may be 90% effective at preventing the disease caused by the novel coronavirus. And the company stresses this does not mean the vaccine is ready, but Pfizer is on track to file an emergency use application with U.S. regulators later this month. Certainly good news there.
Well, with that news, let's bring in a doctor we have checked in with regularly during this pandemic and for the past few months. Joining us this morning is Dr. Stephen Thomas, who is the chief of the Infectious Disease Division at the Upstate University Hospital in Syracuse, New York. Dr. Thomas, thank you again for joining us live this morning via Skype.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
First up, Governor Andrew Cuomo announced just this week that you have been appointed the lead principal investigator for the worldwide Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine trial. I guess we should say congratulations for that responsibility, but what exactly will that entail for you?
So thank you for that. So what it means is that this is a phase 3 trial, 44,000 people, around 140, almost 150 sites around the globe. Each of those sites have a principal investigator, so a leader of a team that is working at that site to enroll volunteers and to administer the injections and then to collect information. And then what the company typically does is they'll select one of those investigators from one of those sites to serve in an additional role, and that additional role is to help review information and to help support the company as they compile information and submit that to the FDA.
Well, it's a big job, certainly, and congratulations again. We're just lucky to have you here with us every month, and you taking the time to talk to us and everyone out there on top of all your other duties that you've got going on now. Excuse me. What's the most notable thing that we should take from this development about a potential vaccine from Pfizer? 90% effective. I mean, that sounds pretty good.
Oh, it's great, and I think it probably exceeded many people's expectations for what that number was going to be. So, I would echo what the CEO of Pfizer has said, in that this is an incredible first step, but it is the first step in multiple steps that need to be taken to ultimately have a safe and effective vaccine that's deployed in large numbers around the country and around the world. So yes, it is a bright spot. It is a good piece of news, and otherwise somewhat of a bleak landscape based on a lot of the numbers that you were talking about earlier.
Well, exactly how much hope should we glean from this development? It was met by a lot of relief from people yesterday when it came out there. So in your opinion, how much hope should we take from this?
Well, just in general, and this is, this is just me, I guess, personally, I think the emotion of hope and the feeling of hope and the feeling of optimism, you must have that for us to remain resilient and to be able to make it through this pandemic. So vaccine or no vaccine, I think people need to maintain their hope and their optimism, because it's going to give them the drive that they need to continue to do things, do the things that we need to do to try and flatten the curve in the country and globally. Speaking specifically about the vaccine, though, this is really important information, and again, it exceeded people's expectations. I mean, just for context, the 2019-2020 influenza vaccine, the efficacy was around 45%. So coming in at something over 90%, that's you can do the math very quickly. That's almost twice of what we get from annual flu, and the annual flu vaccine prevents a lot of people from getting sick. It prevents a lot of death, and so the implication here is huge. It's big.
And what doesn't get us excited is the fact that we are the U.S. is continuing to set daily records, the wrong kind of records, for new COVID cases. Do you agree with other health experts that we're headed into a really dark period? Plus, we're heading toward Thanksgiving, Christmas. What are your takeaways?
Yeah, the takeaway is that we're not heading towards a dark period. We actually are in a dark period. I was looking at some information from the 1918 influenza pandemic, and just looking at different, curves for different states within the United States, and The big concern back then was these rebound curves, right? So you had your initial outbreak, and then places that stopped public health interventions or opened up the economy too soon, they had these rebounds, and the rebounds were worse than the initial wave. What we're seeing now in the United States is a third peak. So we've already been through the first peak, we had a decrement, then we had a second peak bigger than the first, another decrement, and now we're seeing a third peak, probably all the same wave, but at least a third peak. So it's very, very concerning, and so I think we're already in that dark day. I don't want to talk about dark future days because I still feel this is very much within our control. I mean, we know that if there is broad application and consistent application of public health interventions and the diligence on the part of our communities, we can bend this curve, we can flatten this curve. So everyone getting a flu vaccine if they can get one, wearing masks, really reducing that social circle that they're involved in. So that what that means, practically speaking, to me is the immediate household that you live with and a very small inner circle of friends or other family that you may not live with, but that you know how they've been spending the pandemic. You know if they're traveling. You know if they're mask wearers or not. You know if they partake in risky behaviors or not. You should really keep that social circle small. And then the hand washing, and this is also really important. People, let's say every fall/winter, you get a runny nose. In 2019 and 2018, that might be your allergies. In 2020, it might be COVID. So people have to stop self-assessing and stop self-diagnosing. If you have a sore throat or a headache or a runny nose, you need to not go to work or not go to school. You need to talk to your medical provider, and you need to get a test, because COVID can present in so many different ways. We can't have people self-diagnosing. So if we do all those things and we do it consistently and we do it broadly across the country, we can change what could be a dark future into something different.
Yeah, I like that you said that. I mean, I think Will and I both, we've had different sicknesses over the last couple of months and immediately went and got a test because I'm no doctor. I don't know what this sore throat means. I don't know what this stuffy nose means. Even our 7-year-old at home, let's just go and be safe, because thankfully the results are coming back faster, and it is pretty easy, at least here in Austin, to get tested and get those results. So that's a great point.
I mean, I am a doctor, and I don't know what it means in 2020 to have a runny nose.
Which says a lot, and people should acknowledge that. We also want to bring it back to the Olympics. I want to show everybody at home some images from a gymnastics meet that was held this past weekend. So we're showing images right now to everybody at home of visitors getting sprayed by a sterilization mister, which looks a little bit like science fiction at this point, and yet still people are sitting closely in the stands while wearing masks, shoulder to shoulder there. Dr. Thomas, in your opinion, how are these measures likely to help the Olympics hold the Summer Games next year?
So again, I believe that the public health interventions that I mentioned and that you just discussed, I believe that they work. So why do I think that they work, and why am I hopeful that the Olympics may actually be able to occur? So we have a couple of examples. So we know, and it's not just in the state of New York and nationally, but internationally, we know that K through 12 schools, when they have gone back to in-person learning, we know that those situations have not been a source for widespread transmission. So why is that? It's because the schools have command and control over public health interventions within their walls. So they reduce the density of students and staff that are in the building. They do screen temperature checks and symptom screening before people come in. All the kids are wearing masks. There's physical distancing in the school. They're limiting the need for gatherings, and they're requiring people to go home if they feel ill and to be tested before they can come back. And as a result of that, they have not had widespread transmission within schools. It's the same sort of thing that we see in the hospitals. So we are seeing a lot of hospital employees around the country who have needed to be quarantined, or hospital employees who have been infected. But the general belief is they're not being infected in the hospital because they're being infected in the community because they're applying these public health interventions within the hospital. So what that says to me is it is possible, if you can control your environment, to drastically reduce the risk of transmission. Now, so do I think screening prior to allowing a spectator into an arena is a good idea? I do. Mandatory mask wearing? absolutely has to happen. I would still probably want people to have physical distance between one another and not sitting side by side, because no intervention is 100%. But I think if these types of things are done, you can drastically reduce the risk.
Definitely good to hear. Dr. Thomas, one more question before we let you go. Because we have a new president-elect here in the country, Joe Biden, the projected winner of the presidency, what do you make of him moving into this role, announcing a task force to look into the coronavirus pandemic at this point?
Yeah, so I mean, as you know, I was in the federal government for a long time, right? I was in the United States Army, and with Ebola and Zika and MERS-CoV, I was fortunate enough to participate in whole of U.S. government responses to those epidemics. And I can tell you, the federal government has a large number of people with incredible expertise, with a great deal of experience. You know, Dr. Fauci, Dr. Birx, Dr. Redfield, people in the Department of Defense, people in BARDA, people at the FDA. These people have been there and they've done that. They know the answer for how we can, as a nation, really bend this curve and get back to the type of life that we want to live, and a higher quality of life. So what I think is important is those people need to be able to do their jobs. And so I think that maybe with a change in senior leadership, that maybe their freedom of movement will change a little bit. I also think, you know, the task force that the president-elect has selected, I mean, we know a lot of those people. I know a lot of those people. These are folks these are civil servants in many cases that have devoted their lives to protecting people from infectious diseases. And it was really comforting to me to see that list. And again, hope, optimism, we can do this, and I think we're in a good spot with some of these changes.
Yeah, I love leaving people with that message. And congratulations again, Dr. Thomas, and thank you for your time every single month. Hopefully we'll see you again next month.